Welcome back to Caps Hockey Review. Back with you again following 3 more games. Lots of things to break down, some more injuries to talk about. We'll get into it all. Caps Hockey Review, let's go. And we're underway, Caps Hockey Review, back with you yet again. 3 more games to discuss, but it might as well be 2 because that Seattle game was horrible. I am going to gloss over it very quickly and just say, end of a road trip. It's unfortunate that it had to go that way, but it's hockey. It's the pros. It's whatever. It's just an ugly end to a promising road trip, but the Caps do pull out 5 of a possible 8 points on the West Coast. Not bad. Not bad at all. And getting back home for a little bit, but still going to be on the road quite a bit here in the next couple weeks. So, Montreal. The Caps return home on Wednesday night to play the Canadiens. Great effort all around. And before I get there, I do have to double back for just a minute. TJ Oshie returned for the game in San Jose, was out with supposedly another lower body injury against the Kraken. He is now on injured reserve. It's becoming a busy place for the Caps. Nick Backstrom, TJ Oshie, Anthony Mantha. Injured reserve's getting tough. So, more injuries for this team, and the Caps would have another injury on Wednesday night against the Canadiens. Justin Schultz would go down. Man, oh man. This team is... I talked about it before the season. I hope they have, better luck with the injury bug this season. They have not. They have been one of the most injured teams in the NHL. They've already missed over 60 man games to injury. Wow. Now, all that said, this team could be, 500 club, maybe a little bit better, and would still be considered a success by a lot of measures considering all the injuries. But this team, I've talked about it before, they're a resilient bunch, and they've had to be this year. If they weren't, they wouldn't be winning all these games. But for this team, for Peter Laviolette, who I've talked about in the past, demands a high work ethic every night. Whether you win, whether you lose, whether it's good, whether it's bad, we always compete. And we've seen that. I mean, the Seattle game was a bit of a clunker, but most of the Caps' losses, I wouldn't say any of their losses have been really bad and just had a apparent lack of effort like we've seen in the past. So this team's been really, really good when you consider how many main guys are injured. I honestly didn't expect them to even have this good of a start with all the regulars. Like, assuming Backstrom was good to go, I didn't think they'd start this good. So, missing, 4 of their regular guys for a lot of the year, and now 5, it's big. It's big, but hopefully we'll get healthy sooner than later. Backstrom is skating with the team. I believe he's still non-contact, though, so making progress, but obviously not quite there yet. Lars Eller is finally out of quarantine in Anaheim, and he is back with his teammates today. So hoping to see those 2 sooner than later. Justin Schultz and Connor Sherry also, I forgot to mention, was out for Seattle as well. That's a big blow. Sherry's been a huge plus for the Caps with all these injuries. He's really stepped up, in Oshie's absence. So really just tough guys to lose. It's not like you're losing your 12th or 13th forward. I mean, these guys are missing huge pieces to their puzzle and guys that contribute on a nightly basis. So what they've done, I mean, considering some of the names in the lineup, I mean, we've seen Michael Scarbosa, we've seen Beck Malenstein, we've seen Brett Leeson. these three guys typically, I don't think would, obviously wouldn't be in the lineup on a regular basis, but they've had to be. And they've been good. I mean, it's not like they've been out there just kind of existing on the ice. They've been good. And Alexei Protas got his opportunity, and he has made the very most of it. He's been outstanding. He's been rewarded for it. He's played with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov on a couple different occasions, and he's delivered. So these young guys are really, really contributing. Obviously, we're going to see some of them come out of the lineup. I think it's going to be a tough call for this coaching staff to make a decision. I mean, I think, Mantha's return is down the road. Oshie at this point, we're not really sure. It's probably down the road a little bit, not quite as far as Mantha. Eller and Backstrom, probably sooner than later, will be back. I would guess we'll see one of Scarbosa, Malenstein, or Leeson come out. I should say two of those when Backstrom and Eller are good to go. Once Connor Sherry's good, we'll probably see the third come out. I think Protas and McMichael are going to make their case to stick with this team. Do I think they're going to be regular fixtures in the lineup once everybody's healthy? No. But we've seen guys in the past kind of bounce in and out. We've seen Daniel Sprong kind of jump in and out, so those guys could certainly still see plenty of playing time with, roster changes and lineup changes on a night-to-night basis. But the depth has been key. So I've talked about it before. Well, usually when you have young guys start to step up and rise to the occasion, usually that's when we start to see trades happen. I don't think we're going to see that. We're not going to see the Caps move, Lars Eller mid-season. We're not going to see him move like Daniel Sprong mid-season or anything like that. With all these injuries, the depth has been so key. You can't. You just can't. And there's really no reason to. I mean, depth is not a bad thing to have. Eventually, you're going to have to make a choice because you're at a place now where you have like a McMichael who's playing in the NHL on a regular basis and Protas who's starting to look very comfortable playing in the NHL. You only have so many roster spots. And there are certainly advantages to maybe trading an older player like a Lars Eller. Maybe an Anthony Mantha, but I don't think they'll trade him. Possibly a Daniel Sprong. I think Sherry's proven his value. So there certainly are advantages. Freeing up some cap space is one of them because this team always seems to be cap strapped. It'd be nice to have a little bit of space. But enough about that. Getting into Montreal. Big night for the boys. I mean, 6 different goal scorers. That is gigantic. I mean, we've seen Ovechkin obviously, do quite a bit of scoring this season. Kuznetsov has scored quite a bit. We've seen Sherry really stepping up. John Carlson's kind of finding his way. But to have 6 different guys fill the net, that's big. I mean, we saw Tom Wilson, Mike Scarbosa got a pretty nice bounce. Dmitry Orlov, I think John Carlson scored as well. Evgeny Kuznetsov scored. So I'm missing one. I know. I apologize. We're seeing a lot of, like I've talked about, we were seeing scoring come from a lot of different places on different nights, but there's 3 constants for the Caps. Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Tom Wilson seem to be on the point sheet, the score sheet, every single night. Ovechkin registered 3 assists in this game. Great job for him. Kuz with a goal and 2 assists. Wilson, I had a goal and I believe a couple assists as well. They keep doing it. And like I've said, they have to. They are the motor that's going to drive this team. If they're not going, who knows what happens. So they've been good and they've had to be. So great job by them. Ilya Samsonov getting the net again in this one. This makes, I believe it is, this I believe was 4 of 5, 3 out of 5, I apologize, 3 out of 5 of the previous start of these starts going to Samsonov, so we're starting to see him get, more starts, and we'd see that continue for Friday's game against the Panthers. His shutout streak finally ended against Montreal in the dying seconds of the first period, I believe it was. So tough way to end the streak, but it had to end sometimes. It's not like he's gonna go have a shutout for the rest of the season. So he's been good though. He looks a lot more comfortable. He looks a lot more poised. His rebound control is a lot better. He looks comfortable. He's got the confidence of his coaching staff, the confidence of his teammates, and I think maybe that's all he needed. He looks so much better. He doesn't look nervous. He doesn't look shaky. He doesn't just I don't quite know the word for it. He just looks, I would say his presence in the net is so much better, and he just seems so much more confident, which is huge. So, Samsonov continuing to get starts. Obviously, these last two haven't been as impressive as the back-to-back shutouts, but he's putting his team in a position to win hockey games, and he's giving them that opportunity, which at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So, good job by Samsonov. Good job by this team against Montreal. Montreal struggled this year. You're coming off a road trip the day before Thanksgiving. Getting the job done on home ice. That's great. Moving forward to Friday's game against the Panthers. This was a real test, and we're going to see it continue. We've got Carolina coming up on Sunday. We've got the Panthers again in Sunrise on Tuesday. So the test continues. I mean, these are measuring stick games for the Caps. This is an opportunity to see where they are in relation to other really good teams. The Caps, as it sits, are sharing the league in total points with 4 different teams. Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, and the New York Rangers. No, the Rangers are a little bit back, I apologize. And the Toronto Maple Leafs. All are sitting with 31 points, are 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively in the NHL. The Caps, I didn't think would be there. Like I said, even with their regular lineup, I did not think they would have this good of a start. These young guys, I keep talking about it because I have to. These young guys are delivering in the biggest moments, and they're making the most of this opportunity. And the Caps have hugely benefited from this. I mean, the Caps are historically an organization that has really struggled to get their young guys involved, and they just kind of toil away in the minors for so many years until it's like they've played out their prime in Hershey. So for Protas to get this opportunity, for McMichael to get this opportunity, for guys like Malenstein, Leeson to get these opportunities, we saw Dennis Cholowski finally slot in on Friday with Schultz's injury. 23 years old, so he's getting an opportunity. Well, that's what you want as an organization. Like, yes, your experience is great, and guys who've been here before is great, but young guys can really be a shot in the arm and a nice jump start for a team. So these guys are certainly pushing pushing regulars in the lineup and really making their case to stick around. So good things for them. And this team, like, sitting where they are in the standings at this point is extremely impressive, for one. And they've been good all season. I mean, it's not like these wins are flukes. It's not like it's by accident. They've played some really good hockey. So for Friday night, it's a tough test. It's a tough test. Now, of course, the Panthers are without Alexander Barkov, their top center. So not seeing the Panthers full force, but they're still a very good hockey team. They've only lost 2 games in regulation all season. Friday would make it 3. The Caps, great game. I mean, you had your moments. You had your miscues. That first goal by Jonathan Huberdeau for the Panthers. It's kind of a misread, a bad play. Van Riemsdyk blows his edge, and there's a 2-on-0 against Samsonov. That's tough. That's tough for him to stop. But they responded. I mean, a shorthanded goal. We've seen Evgeny Kuznetsov start to get more ice time in these shorthanded situations. The most time we've seen in his career. And he's made the most of it. He has significantly improved his two-way play. We looked at him, primarily for offense, and we still do. But he's doing things defensively, and especially without Backstrom, That's huge. So we're seeing him get more opportunities, and he has made the most of it. He's risen to the occasion, killing penalties. He's getting takeaways. He's doing better on faceoffs. This is a guy I lobbied for to become a winger at the start of the year, at the start of last season, the start of this season. He's been great. His faceoffs are better, his defensive play is better, and he's still contributing offensively. That's awesome. He contributed shorthanded goal for the Caps, a slick little pass. Finds John Carlson, finds Tom Wilson. Wilson buries it. And then it would turn into the Alex Ovechkin show and continue to be the Wilson Kuznetsov show along with him. And Alexei Protas chipped in to assist as well on these goals. So everybody getting involved. We saw power play goal for Ovi. We saw kind of a weird half wind-up slapper from the wall that found a way through. And then finally that third goal. I just want to talk about this for a minute. We've seen, the memes like of him standing at the top of the circle on the power play. It's like, name a more intimidating, picture in hockey or a more intimidating player from this spot. How about you take that player from the top of the left circle and you move him right down in front of the goalie? Nobody covered him. He was all by himself. That is a scary situation. If you're a coach watching that thing from the bench, wow. You're leaving the best goal scorer of all time by himself in the slot. Not a good plan. And before this game, as if Alex Ovechkin needed any more motivation to continue what he's done this season, pardon me while I adjust the hat, Andrew Brunette, interim head coach for the Florida Panthers, former Washington Capital, was asked about Alex Ovechkin in his pregame presser and, the goal scoring. I think that's just a standard question for opposing coaches these days. Said he's great, but he's the second best goal scorer of all time. Cue up the Jordan meme, and I took that personally. Alex Ovechkin. Has nobody learned that this guy doesn't need any outside motivation to be really, really good and hurt your team by scoring a lot of goals? Maybe they shouldn't give him more motivation. So what does he do? I mean, he gets hit in the face with a puck in the first period, and then he comes back and scores a hat trick? Wow. Great job for him. Great job by this entire team continuing to find ways to win games. Ilya Samsonov getting the net again. This makes 4 out of the last 5, 4 out of the last 6 if you want to be really technical. But we're seeing him start to get more starts and really more of a majority of the starts. I think it's a sign that this coaching staff is found their confidence in him and they're comfortable with making the choice to go with him in big games. So I would expect we'll see a rotation continue. I don't think he's really set himself apart yet by any means, but he's been really good. So we'll see who gets the net for Sunday. Maybe Vanacek will. I don't know. A lot of you could elect to stay with the hot hand. Samsonov is now 8-0-1 this season, has not had a regulation loss yet. So he's been really, really good. And to his credit, so has Vanacek. So I wouldn't be surprised either way to see who gets the net here. Looking ahead, Carolina Hurricanes on Sunday. That's going to be a big one. That is quite honestly, if the Caps can't beat the Hurricanes, they're not going to win the division. That's just the way it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a tight race between these two teams. If the Caps stay on the trajectory that they're on, they're going to have to win that head-to-head battle against the Hurricanes. I think they're up to it. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to be really tough. But the Caps have been resilient all season, and they've found ways to win games that maybe they shouldn't have, or maybe they didn't have any business winning when you look at the lineups on paper. But this is a really good team, a really resilient team, and like I said, finding ways to win hockey games. That's what it's about. Carolina on Sunday, that'll be a big one, a little matinee game. So we'll see. Then back to the Panthers again. As far as, we could see Nick Backstrom get in. We should see Lars Eller get back in. So getting some of the regulars back, but every time it happens, somebody else gets hurt. So it's hard to say. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully to see Backstrom and Eller sooner than later, but who knows. Florida's going to be a big one as well. Like I said, measuring stick games. These are the top two teams in the NHL, and this is your opportunity to show everybody and really prove and, understand as a team, hey, we're still here. We're still a good team. We can still compete in this league. We're not this, make the playoffs type team, but not good enough to make a run. And the playoffs are a ways off, of course, but it's never too early to start to get the edge. So these two teams, Florida and Carolina, certainly are teams that they could and probably will see if the Caps do ultimately make the playoffs. They're in a really good spot right now. The old adage for the NHL, the playoff picture at American Thanksgiving, which just passed, obviously. Teams who are in the playoffs at Thanksgiving, I think it's like 80% of the time, make the playoffs. So, good news for the Caps. They just have to keep her going. They've been really good. I think these young guys have helped, add some energy and really kept this aging core young a little bit. Give them a little extra motivation, give them a little extra incentive to keep it going. So that's been really great. And maybe these injuries will turn out to favor the Caps once everybody gets healthy. Of course, you got to get back in. You got to find your game rhythm, your game legs, everything like that. But having the extra rest, especially for Backstrom, who's had a lot of injuries these last few years. For Oshie, same thing. So maybe the extra rest won't turn out to be such a bad thing. This Caps team, of course, has thrived in their absence, but it will be nice to get them back eventually. So, what are we looking for? What are we looking for to continue? Well, more of the same. More of the same. Everybody's been really good, and this team is just finding ways to win every single night. So we're just looking forward to keep going. I don't really have too many things to pick on this week as far as, what needs to clean up. Maybe D-zone exits. We've seen maybe be a little bit suspect these last few games, but that can clean up pretty easily, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm not going to get into that really. So for the Caps, just keep her going. Keep doing what you're doing. Ovechkin, keep scoring goals. Kuznetsov doing a little bit of everything. Wilson doing a little bit of everything. John Carlson is finding his way now, second in NHL D-men in points, finding his way again. So really good things. We had a few guys have some slow starts, but it looks like everybody is up to full speed, and we're looking to see that continue. I will be back with you after the Panthers game. We'll have two huge ones to break down, hopefully talking about two more wins. Until next time, go Caps.